We're always trying to figure out why things happen. It's just human nature. But what if our go-to answers are, well, a little too simple? In this explainer, we're going to level up our thinking and master the art of cause and effect so we can see how things really work. Okay, let's dive in.
I mean, we've all heard this one, right? It's simple, it's clean, it makes a certain amount of sense. This is what you might call level 1 thinking. A causes B. End of story. But honestly, if we really want to solve a problem like burnout, or understand any complex issue for that matter, we have to go deeper.
Because really, what if it's not just the long hours? What about a total lack of control over your work, or a job that just doesn't line up with your values? Posing this simple question, is that the whole story, is what kicks off a way more powerful analysis. It's how we move beyond the easy, obvious answers. So, first up, let's talk about the essential mindset shift. This is about moving from those simple answers into a much stronger, more realistic way of thinking. See, our brains just love a simple this caused that story. It's easy to process, but the real world, it's so much messier than that. Strong thinking doesn't waste time hunting for the one single reason for something. Instead, it embraces the complexity. It explores a few key factors and, crucially, looks at how they all interact with each other to create a whole range of possible outcomes. And look, this isn't just some dry academic exercise. The goal here is to make our understanding actually come alive. It's about seeing a concept like burnout or trust, not just as a dictionary definition, but as this living, breathing process that develops over time, changes things around it, and has very real consequences in the world.
Okay, so how do we actually put this into practice? Let's get into your new strategic toolkit. We're going to cover 3 core approaches you can use.
Think of these as 3 different lenses for looking at any problem. We can look forward, from the causes to the effects. We can work backward, from the effects to find the causes. Or we can look at the forces that are either building something up or slowly wearing it down over time. Let's break each one down. Okay, first, we've got the classic approach, cause to effect. Super straightforward. You start with the ingredients, then you explain the cake. This works perfectly for things like habits or behaviors. So for procrastination, you'd first talk about the fear of failure or the perfectionism that leads to it, and then you'd get into the stress and the sloppy, last-minute work that results from it. Next up, you can totally flip the script. With the effect to cause structure, you start with the smoke, and then you work your way back to find the fire. This is an incredibly powerful tool when the consequences of something are super obvious and urgent, but the reasons behind them are kind of a mystery. You grab people's attention with the shocking outcome first, and then you unravel the mystery of how we got there. Now, for big abstract ideas like trust or community, the word cause just feels kind of clunky, right? You can't just ask what causes trust. It doesn't work. So our third approach asks a better question. What contributes to it? What makes it stronger? And on the flip side, what erodes it? This is perfect for showing how these big concepts are often built up or damaged gradually, piece by piece, not all at once. All right, now we're getting to the boss level, how to handle complexity. What do you do when there isn't just one cause, but a whole bunch of them all tangled up together? You've basically got 3 key moves here. You can organize your points from least to most important, saving the big one for last for maximum impact. You can also bring a lot of clarity by grouping related things together, say separating all the external pressures from someone's internal thought patterns. But that third one, that's the real pro move, showing how different factors don't just exist side by side, but actually work together and amplify each other. Just look at the difference here. The weak version is a flat, simple statement. The stronger version, it explains a relationship. It shows how social media can take a little spark of isolation that's already there and fan it into a huge flame. The key, the absolute key, is that a strong analysis always explains the how. And when you start thinking like this, you unlock something super powerful: feedback loops. This is where an effect actually circles back around and becomes a cause for more of the same thing. Think about procrastination again. You put something off, right? That causes stress. But then that stress makes the task feel even bigger and scarier, which causes you to, you guessed it, procrastinate even more. It's like a snake eating its own tail. So let's put it all together. Let's look at a real-world example of what this master-level analysis looks like when it's firing on all cylinders. Our topic is loneliness. And check out this opening line. This is the first move. It immediately sets us up for a much more nuanced, more interesting discussion. It moves us beyond that simple, wrong idea that being alone is the exact same thing as being lonely. So let's break this down. First, notice how it avoids oversimplification right off the bat by making that key distinction. And second, it immediately starts to explain how the concept works. It gives us the core logic for why it's totally possible to feel profoundly lonely even when you're in a room full of people.
From there, the analysis brings in multiple causes. But it doesn't just throw them at you in a list, it groups them logically. And then, here comes the killer move. It shows how they interact. Someone moves for a job, so they rely more on social media to stay in touch. But that kind of shallow contact actually ends up making them feel even more isolated. See? That's the feedback loop right there in action.
And finally, this is so important. A really strong analysis connects all the dots. It transitions smoothly from the causes to the very serious effects on our physical health, on how well we think, and maybe most importantly, it explains the significance. It reframes loneliness not as some personal failing, but as a widespread structural problem in society. It tells us why this all matters.
And that right there, that's the ultimate payoff. When you put all these pieces together, the nuance, the structure, the interactions, and the significance, you're not just defining a term anymore. You are demonstrating a deep, powerful understanding. You are engaging in genuine thinking.
So I'll leave you with this. Think about your work, your hobbies, or just something you saw in the news today. What simple level 1 explanation have you been accepting that might be hiding a much more complex and much more interesting reality? What topic in your world deserves a second look?